key. Stop. Get away. Go. Go lie down. Stop being annoying. Poochie, get away from me. Hey. Get down. I said enough. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, Sherry. Go, go. Move away from my phone. Go lay down. Hey, Daniel.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm good. Glad to hear.
Jerry hanging around there somewhere. She looks like she's having audio and video issues tonight.
And you look like you're on top of the world.
Yeah, I'm using a virtual background. I'm sitting outside.
Gotcha.
I figured it'd be a little something different.
Definitely different.
My dead tree behind me.
Hey.
Hey, when it gets a little darker, you'll see the fireplace.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we might actually have gotten Pat in tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no audio. But hey, Pat. No response. Hey, at least we're trying.
There you go.
Yeah, I came in early because I figured people would forget that it was at 7 and come in at our normal time, so I came in at our normal time.
Oh, okay. Well, good. We're back on it.
Be a lively show tonight. Pat, can you hear me? Ah, Sherry, finally.
Yes.
I think Pat's on.
I
It
see
says
Pat's name.
what?
I see Pat's name anyways.
Yeah. So I think he made it on this time.
Hey, Daniel.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it.
Is it just you tonight?
Suzanne will be here in a second. Carolyn wasn't feeling well. She had a headache.
Oh. Thought it might have been too late for her.
No. Yeah, she had a medical thing today. She's fine, but just wasn't interested in doing this tonight.
Here we go, Pat.
I got you up on screen and I can hear you, but I can't speak to you unless I go by phone here.
Okay, well, I'm kind of used to that, so we'll just put you on speaker.
But hey, Sherry, he should be able to dial in on his phone also.
He said he had it, but he just couldn't talk.
Right, because he's on his computer, but he should be able to also dial in as a second option straight from his phone.
Did you hear that, Pat?
Let me just go back to Gary's thing in flat, okay?
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Did he say he was going to call me?
He said he was going to try to do the Zoom, I think.
Okay, cool. Yeah, he should be able to do it twice. Hey, Carolyn.
You mean Susan?
Susan, pardon me. Yes, I'll get everybody's name straight yet. I wasn't gonna get straight, but hey.
Okay, before anybody else gets on here, anybody got anything they want to throw out there? Nope. Okay. Gary, what you got going on?
That's virtual background.
Okay.
I'm just having fun with it because it's obviously getting dark. So I'm gonna, I'm sitting outside. I haven't started the fireside chat yet.
It was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was Virtual Earth. Pat calling you back? Nope. Actually, I think he just entered.
Maybe how we doing?
Yeah. Am I online here?
Yes, you are, Pat. You're
We
on.
can't what?
You're on by phone and by.
Okay. What are you asking?
So we got you both ways. Now it sounds like Elaine's having a problem. I figured we were going to have that a little bit tonight.
And then let you say whatever business you need to, and then we'll go visit. Your who's not? Or CRO, yeah. Ours is on a honeymoon. It hasn't been coming anyway, so I'm just gonna tell everybody, look at the crime report in the newsletter, and it's the one guy, Ross, whatever, I got the name written down. And you can introduce him if you want to, because I'll turn it over to you, and then, no. Yeah, okay.
We are combining with the South Bayview today, I think it is.
I don't see anybody from your league has signed on yet, so.
Barely one person has.
What's that?
South Bayview.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Hey, mate. Everybody introduce themselves.
I'm Sherry Ho, President, Crossroads Civic League.
I'm Gary, the IT guy.
I'm Suzanne Greger.
Dan Greger.
I'm Philip. I'm secretary at in Bayview, South
Hey.
Bay Civic League.
Cool.
Hey, Philip.
Hello.
So you know, I'm recording this so I can give you a copy of it if need be.
Okay, thank you.
All right,
Yep.
Gary, we can't see you in the dark.
That's okay.
Okay.
I ain't that good looking.
I'm not going to comment. I just got off the phone with Yelena, so she should be joining us here in a second.
Yep. Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to get this dark this fast.
I hope our people didn't try to do the meeting at 6:30.
I've been on since 6:30 just for that fact. Now we're getting them in pretty quick.
Okay.
I came on at 6:30 just in case, so.
Well, we'll give everybody a few more minutes. I think our vice president is still trying to get
No,
signed on.
Pat's on verbally, vocally, and so we're good.
Okay.
That's questionable.
Congratulations, Pat. It's your first
Huh?
meeting.
Hey, you know, we're trying this electronic stuff. I'm not too keen on it, but
Hey, it works, Pat. Now you can at least talk and everybody hears you instead of having to Sherry translate everything. Hey, Yellen.
All right.
Yelena just came on.
Okay. Give everybody a few more minutes in case they're having problems.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for our speaker to come on.
I see Liegro
Yep.
up there.
Ross just came.
Hello. Okay, there's Ross.
Hey, Ross.
Hey, good evening.
We're giving everybody a few more minutes to see if they can get signed on.
Yeah, we're still getting them coming in as pretty quick here. Nikki just came in. Hey, Nikki.
Nikki. Hey, Gary. Can I private message people?
Yes.
Okay, I'm trying to do that. It wasn't working.
You click on chat and then you click on the person's name. You should be able to individually chat to everybody.
I was clicking the wrong thing. Thank you.
Yep.
So we're at 14 now.
And growing. Sherry, if you want to go ahead and start, we might as well. It's a couple minutes after already, and I'll just keep adding them as they come in.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. I'm Sherry Hogue, president of Crossroads Civic League, and I'd like to thank South Bayview for combining with us to have this meeting tonight. I'm going to real quick cover our Civic League stuff and then turn it over to Yelena for a minute, and then we can get to our speaker. So for Crossroads Civic League folks, our CRO is on vacation, and if you need to get in touch with her partner, I have the contact information. Just reach out to me. And also the crime report is in the newsletter. So other than that, and next month our speaker is HRUBS. So any of you South Bayview folks want to get in on that and find out why our water bills are so crazy, we'll send you the link and you can join that meeting too if you want. And I think that's all that we need to cover. So Yelena? Yelena?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Our CRO, I'm not sure where our CRO is, but we do have the crime report in the newsletter. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Susan, are you there?
There you go.
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you now.
You can? Okay. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys, I'm still working. So, Susan, if you're there and can take over, it'll be awesome. If not, I was just asking if anybody has any questions for South Bayview.
I'm here.
I think everybody can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. So that's no questions?
No questions, it looks like.
Sarah, you can go ahead.
Okay, so we have Ross Grogg with us tonight, and I believe you're from All In, and you have a presentation about the casino for us.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, Ross, quick just housekeeping. If everybody would mute, please, because a couple of you got your mics on, and I can hear the background to you. Unless you're talking, I'll make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, it looks like screen sharing still turned off.
Hold on, Ross. You should be able to. I'm going to add you as a host, so you
Okay.
should be able to share. All right, you should be able to share now, Ross.
Yep. Okay. Perfect. Get my window up here. Okay. Good evening. Can everybody see my screen, the slides?
Yes.
Good, perfect. So yes, my name is Ross Grogg. I am with Kemper Consulting. We are a Norfolk-based government affairs firm. We've been working with the Pamunkey Indian Tribe for almost 4 years now on this project. And so because this is a local referendum, the tribe was required to set up a referendum committee, and that is the Yes Norfolk Committee, or also known as the All In Committee. And so myself at Kemper Consulting, we're working with the tribe in this committee, and then we've got Lalegro Smith, who is the director of the Yes Norfolk Committee, who's on the call tonight as well. So we've got a short presentation for you, and then happy to answer any questions at the end. So I like to sort of take a quick step back to talk about how we got to where we are today. So not going into the full history of the expansion of gaming in the Commonwealth, but the tribe first publicly announced its intentions to build a casino in Norfolk in December of 2018, so almost 2 years ago. That original proposal was for a $750 million tribal facility, meaning the land would be on would be put into trust, federal trust, and the casino would be operated as a tribal casino. After a failed attempt to adopt commercial gaming legislation in the 2019 session, conversations with the city moved along in earnest last fall. The mayor created a gaming commission. There were a number of public hearings. And then after the elections last November, it sort of became apparent that Virginia would likely pass some commercial gaming legislation. And so the amended option to purchase and development agreements were agreed upon by the city and the tribe in January. And those solely contemplate what is now a commercial facility. So then during the 2020 session, the General Assembly passed legislation authorizing commercial gaming in 5 localities: Danville, Bristol, Norfolk, Portsmouth, and Richmond. All of those localities but Richmond are required to have local referendums this November should they want to move forward with gaming. The localities were also required to select a preferred gaming operator, and Norfolk selected the tribe in May, submitted the tribe for pre-approval to lottery, and then after receiving that approval, asked the circuit court to put the referendum on the ballot. So what does this mean? Once again, to emphasize, this is a commercial facility. It will be owned and operated by the Indian tribe. The facility will be licensed by the Virginia Lottery under their new authority to regulate commercial gaming that just passed during the 2020 session. The tribe will own the land, will be purchasing it from the city. However, the land will remain in the city of Norfolk. It will not become sovereign tribal land, and it will be subject to all the same taxation and fees of the Commonwealth in the city as any other hotel or restaurant in Norfolk. So property taxes, meals taxes, hotels taxes, sales taxes, all those sorts of things. So what's next? The reason why we're here tonight is to talk about that referendum. So this is the language that will appear on your ballot on November 3rd. It is lengthy. It's what was set out in statute and required to appear on the ballot. And to be abundantly clear, a yes vote is in support of building this casino. With that, we've got a short video to share with you.
From Berkeley to Ocean View, you won't have any trouble finding people who love calling Norfolk home. It's about community, it's about opportunity, and it's about growth. That's why people from all over the city are all in for the Norfolk Resort and Casino, operated by the Pamunkey Indian Tribe. It's more than a world-class vacation destination right here at home. It's a generational opportunity to create not just jobs, but careers. It will deliver millions of dollars for public schools and make Norfolk a leading tourist destination in the mid-Atlantic region. Along the banks of the beautiful Elizabeth River, this towering 300-plus room resort and casino with modern architecture will be a jewel of the Norfolk skyline. The project represents the largest private investment in the city's history, with no government tax breaks or subsidies for the developer. Fun, a world-class experience. Norfolk residents and visitors will have access to gaming, an entertainment venue, and restaurants, all right downtown. The Norfolk Resort and Casino will be transformative for downtown. With 2,500 permanent jobs, it would be the 5th largest private employer in Norfolk and will create an immediate jolt of energy for local businesses who will be needed to service a surge of visitors and residents attracted to the waterfront. And the best part is, this project has benefits for everyone. Virginia schools will immediately benefit from it, with an estimated additional $50 million per year in education funding. And with more than $30 million per year in tax revenue for the city of Norfolk, everything you already love about the city is about to get strengthened. The tribe understands what it's like to be left out of economic prosperity, which is why they want a project that lifts the entire community, including minority businesses and other traditionally disadvantaged communities. And they aren't waiting to get started, already partnering with the Norfolk community to help address the issue of food access. And this is just the beginning. As community leaders, we know residents look to you for answers. Help us spread the word about this project and how positive it will be for Norfolk. This is about better schools, exciting entertainment, and more economic opportunities for people often left behind, all of which will make Norfolk stronger.
I'm all in for my community.
I'm all in for fun.
I'm all in for schools.
To provide some of the highlights from that video, I'm going to focus first on the details of the facility itself. It'll be a $500 million resort and casino complex, 4-diamond, 300-room, full-service hotel with spa, pool, and entertainment venue, a host of different dining options from a high-end restaurant to a sports bar and grill to a coffee shop. There'll be a 4,000 gaming position floor with slot machines and table games, everything that you would expect from a world-class casino gaming facility, and a 2,000 vehicle multi-level garage with dedicated parking for our neighbors over at Amtrak. Some of the development commitments in relation to the project is that the tribe is committed to all infrastructure, all flood mitigation, and all utility improvements needed for construction to ensure that this project is sustainable and can be enjoyed by tourists and residents alike. This will be the largest economic development project in the city's 338-year history, with no public funds, tax breaks, or subsidies going towards the project. So some of the project benefits as it relates to education is that, as you may have seen in the timeline, the governor instituted that the state gaming revenue that will be derived from this project will go towards public school construction for a statewide fund. Just from this project alone, we project that $50 million annually will go towards that fund. Now, if the city of Portsmouth passes their referendum, cities of Bristol and Danville also pass theirs, then I think we should expect that that fund will increase and be able to, and we expect some of that money to come back to the city of Norfolk. Additionally, the land sale of the project, as Ross mentioned, the land is currently owned by the city of Norfolk. The Pamunkey Indian Tribe will be purchasing it above assessed value, $750,000 per acre. And that money has been designated to go to Maury and Booker T. Washington high schools for their respective renovations. Some of the project benefits as it relates to jobs, certainly in a time of great uncertainty under COVID-19, this facility will bring almost 2,500 permanent, well-paying jobs, over 2,000 construction jobs, making it the 5th largest private employer in the city of Norfolk. As some of you may have seen in our recent press release, that the tribe has made a commitment that 90% of the workforce will be hired from right here in the city of Norfolk or surrounding localities, and 50% of the workforce will be of individuals from minority groups. We want to make sure that this project is reflective of the community for which it serves, and this is our first step in that process. Some of the economic benefits is that $754 million in annual economic impact to the city of Norfolk, 6.2 million in annual visitors that will come through the door. That's more people that will go through downtown, go to Ocean View, go to East Beach, and explore all of the wonders of the city of Norfolk that makes it a true jewel in Hampton Roads' crown. $30 million, over $30 million as projected by our economic forecast, but also the city manager, an academically trained economist, released his study the other day before council, and certainly expects that the tax revenue for the city of Norfolk will be between $35 to $45 million annually. And that's more money to schools, more money to affordable housing, more money to infrastructure, a host of different options to really reinforce and strengthen city services here in the city. I'm going to give it over to Ross for this last slide. Thank you.
Yeah, so last, we really like to address head on a couple of the items the opposition has brought up. And so the first one is the description or characterization that the site next to Harvard Park is an environmental nightmare. First, the tribe and our development team is very aware of the site's designation as a brownfield, very aware of the site's, potential to flood and the resiliency needs of that area of the city. And as Allegro mentioned earlier, the tribe has committed to taking on all of the costs needed for remediation for the site, as well as all of the flooding and other infrastructure needs to make sure that people can get to the site even during times of heavy rain or the wind blowing the wrong direction, as we're well aware in Norfolk. But as far as it being a brownfield site, the city actually had an assessment done on behalf of the EPA back in 2016, and quoting from that report, for the intended use of the site for development of a shopping and restaurant district and associated parking, no remediation of soil or groundwater is warranted. So I'm not sure where the environmental nightmare characterization is coming from, but clearly the EPA's own consultants, our own consultants don't agree with that characterization. The second item, they talk about the tribe having a discriminatory membership process. The tribe, since its federal recognition, finally sort of codified what had been an informal membership criteria. Those two items are a social connection to the tribe, and then obviously proving a lineage to a tribal member or a historic member of the Pamunkey tribe. As part of their federal recognition, they were required to link their current tribal roles, 80% of them, back to a historic tribal role. And so at the time of recognition, most of the other Indian tribes across the country that had just been recognized federally used roles that were dated in the 1900s and the 1910s, because it was the first time the federal government, as part of their census, designated people as a particular Indian tribe. And so it's really the first federal list of Pamunkey Indians. However, they've realized since that time that, the Commonwealth, the federal government had a number of racist laws on the books at the time. And because of that, those roles from the 1900s, 1910s, very well may have been impacted by those racist practices. And so for people who believe that they are related, they are a Pamunkey, and cannot tie their lineage back to those roles, the tribe has developed an alternative membership process that allows people to tie themselves back to an earlier role or a list of historic Pamunkey members that the Bureau of Indian Affairs has put together, and that list dates all the way back into the 1700s and as early as the mid 1800s. Because that likely would require some significant research of a professional genealogist, the tribe is also offering a stipend for anyone that believes that they would meet that membership criteria and believe that this sort of sufficiently corrects any impact that the tribal roles from the early 1900s take. And last but certainly not least, the subject of sovereign immunity. So the Pamunkey Indian Tribe, just like the city of Norfolk or the Commonwealth of Virginia, is a nation, is a government, and so all governments are afforded the legal protection of sovereign immunity for a variety of reasons, which they can waive. The tribe has waived that with the city of Norfolk, so the city could sue and collect any owed taxes or fees in the development agreement, but that development agreement also requires the tribe to hold a $5 million insurance policy in case they're the subject of any lawsuits from operating the casino facility. That sovereign immunity protection is really there so that, if someone sued the city of Norfolk for damages, it's there so that you can't take the fire station or take Ocean View Avenue or take the beach. Those are city property. Sovereign immunity is there to protect them. It's no different with the tribe. It's there to protect the tribe from someone trying to take their reservation or what little physical assets that the tribe has. And this sort of legal structure and legal separation between the tribe and the operation of the casino is also no different than having an LLC set up to operate a facility when a parent company is a large corporate partner. So, the Main is owned by an LLC. The Marriott downtown is owned by an LLC. All of the other casino projects that we've discussed tonight, Danville, Bristol, Portsmouth, they are all set up under Virginia LLCs. if you sue the Danville project, which is going to be owned by Caesars, you're not suing Caesars International, you're suing Caesars Virginia LLC. And so it's sort of a non-issue, but the idea of sovereign immunity, especially right now, can be a sensitive subject. And so we like to try to address it head on. So with that, we're happy to take any questions. And I'm going to put our contact information up on the screen, in case anyone wants to reach out or email us, but we're also happy to take any questions tonight. So with that.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Ross?
Yeah, this is Pat Smith. I got a question about who's the corporation that's backing this?
There is no corporation backing this project. It is going to be owned and operated by the Pamunkey Indian Tribe. They have a development team that they've put together. Their investor development partner is a gentleman by the name of John Yarborough. And then they have a sort of casino operator development partner, a gentleman by the name of John Thompson. But there is no.
Well, is the person that some of the city council members went to see their casino out west? They're not involved in this anymore?
No, they are involved, but they're not. But that's the John Yarborough and the John Thompson that I just referenced. Those are the advisors that developed those casinos. There's a casino in Oklahoma that the mayor and then the economic development director and former city manager all visited.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Everyone, as you wish.
Hey, Gary, can you put the screen back so we could see, like, if somebody's raising their hand or something?
Yeah, Ross.
Yeah, that's on me. I'll stop.
Okay.
Yep. There
All
we
right,
go.
thank you.
Does the Pamunkey tribe have any casino experience?
No, the tribe itself does not have any gaming experience. This would be their first casino, but that is why they've partnered with Mr. Thompson and Mr. Yarborough. I don't know who just asked that last question. I think it was maybe Pat.
Yes.
The gentleman that their development partners have experience owning and developing and operating casinos very similar to the one that would be built here in Norfolk.
Okay, I'm a bit concerned. I hear of casinos closing, especially in Atlanta. So what economic basis do you have to think that it would succeed in Norfolk?
I'm sorry, you broke up in the middle of your question. I heard I have some concerns, casinos are closing, and then I missed the rest of that.
What economic basis do you have to think you'd be successful in Norfolk?
Yeah, so we've got, just like I've been hired for, my lobbying and, campaign expertise, we have feasibility economists who've been hired for their economic expertise. And so they've done a feasibility study on this site in Norfolk and believe that a $500 million facility can be very successful. That is even taking into account all of the other facilities that are being built in Virginia.
I have a question for me.
Hey, if you would, please announce who you are when you're asking the question so that way we can note it.
This is Suzanne Greger. I was wondering what the timeline was from when you would originally break ground to when you would be in full operation.
Yeah, that's a great question, Susan. So if we are successful in November, the next step would be to apply for a license from the Virginia Lottery. And so we expect that submission to happen in early 21. We'd expect to break ground in spring of next year. Best case scenario, casino would be open in sort of fall of 23. So 2 years from now. Construction's about somewhere between 18 and 24 months.
Okay, I have a question. This is Sherry Hogue. So you said there would be no cost to the city as far as infrastructure. Now, is that just on the land? What if there needs to be things done leading up to the casino property?
So the development agreement and the no cost to the city is contemplating any infrastructure improvements on the getting to the land. So typically the city, you know, like for the main, and that's maybe a different story, but, you know, pays for the water main and all the utilities to get connected to the site, roads and infrastructure to get to and from the site. And so the tribe has taken on essentially the site work and all of the, you know, utilities to get to the site. They've also committed to do a traffic study and what impact that would have on the existing traffic flow in that part of town. I think sort of what, if any, improvements are needed to the on and off ramps there at 264 and to Waterside Drive have really yet to be determined. And so I think there will be a future conversation about what those costs may be, because those aren't currently contemplated in the development agreement, is my understanding. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
I've got another question and a comment. This is John Hayward. Sovereign immunity kind of bothers me. You compare it to a limited liability corporation, and sovereign immunity is a nation and a government, and oftentimes. Why not act as a limited liability corporation, since that's your comparison?
Yeah, so the actual operator of the actual entity that's going to own and operate the casino is going to be the Pamunkey Indian Tribal Gaming Authority, which is a corporate entity underneath the tribe. And so, you know, if you look at the development agreement, you know, that the entity, you know, the tribe is required to carry that $5 million insurance policy, but it's also required to carry insurance for the entire facility. So it isn't just you know, just the $5 million sort of liability policy. So, I mean, the concern about not being able to sue should something happen is really just not there, because there would be, you know, plenty of, you know, protection for any patron to be able to sue. The reason why the sovereign immunity is important is so that you can't sue and take the tribe's reservation.
Okay. Well, if it's if you've got sovereign immunity, is it going to be patrolled by tribal police, or are you calling on Norfolk police to?
No, it's a commercial facility. It's in the city of Norfolk. There won't be any tribal police. I mean, there'll be security on the facility, just like there's security at other hotels in Norfolk, but there won't be tribal police. It's not, the land is still in the city of Norfolk. The tribe is just going to become the owner of the land.
Okay. All right, thank you.
This is Gary. So Ross, I kind of understand. It would be like us as Crossroads Civic League. We're putting in a dog park. We have to carry insurance separately and everything, above and beyond the city, which is of course sovereign, that protects us and the city in the event somebody gets hurt or dog gets bit at the park, or a person bites a dog or a dog bites a person and we get sued. We have to carry the policy, so the city would not be sued because they're a sovereign entity, but we are on city land and everything else, but we are the ones responsible for it. So it'd be kind of the similar.
Exactly right. That's a great comparison. I hope you'll call me when you have a story about a person biting a dog.
It's happened. Any other questions?
Yes, Pat Smith here again. Got a question. You're talking about money going to the school systems and stuff like that. Look, we heard this promise before with the lottery, and then the General Assembly and the rest of them people up there in the Puzzle Palace decided to raid it, and now the schools don't have no money. So how do we know this is not going to happen again with this problem?
So the first thing I'll say about that is this money, thanks to Governor Northam's amendment, has been designated for school construction. And so there is not currently a state dedicated fund for school construction. You know, what everyone likes to talk about with the lottery, which is a fair criticism, is that once the lottery revenues came in, that the General Assembly could then supplant existing general fund dollars that were appropriated to education with the new lottery funds. And so I think the first comment is that there's no current state designated revenue for school construction. That's almost entirely taken on by the local governments. That all being said, no General Assembly can tie a future General Assembly's hands when it comes to appropriation. And so I cannot stand here today and tell you that a future General Assembly couldn't decide to change where that money goes. They can change the law and they could change where that money goes, but it's up to you all. It's up to all of the citizens in the Commonwealth to encourage them and to make it clear that they want this money to continue to go towards school construction. And I think that's the piece that's different than just sending money to the lottery, sending money to schools for operating costs. That's different than lottery.
This is Sherry Hogue again. So the things that were in the presentation, like what I had asked about the infrastructure, the jobs, is all that in writing somewhere in a plan?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, it's allinnorfolk.com, and that has lots more detail than just some of the highlights we shared in the presentation this evening. The minority and local hiring plan that L'Allegro mentioned is linked right there on the homepage. There's also a lot of great resources and information on the city's own page. The city has a resort and casino page on their website. The address is sort of weird. I always just Google, Norfolk Resort and Casino, Norfolk.gov Resort and Casino, and it comes up on Google pretty easily. And on that page is the link to Dr. Filer just did his own economic impact or economic evaluation that he released to council earlier this week. And so that's on that website.
Hey, Ross. Hey, Allegro. It's Andrea McClellan. How are you guys?
Councilwoman McClellan, good to see you.
I'm sorry, I was at another Zoom meeting, so I logged on late, so I didn't hear all the presentation. I apologize. I did come on right when you were talking about the school funding, so I don't know what was discussed, but just to confirm, the state portion of any casino tax will go into school funding for the state. So any state portion of taxes, if this gets passed on November 3rd, will go to a state general fund and then get distributed throughout the Commonwealth. It doesn't come back to Norfolk necessarily, but through the entire Commonwealth. I think it's about $50 million they're expecting. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's our estimate just for us alone.
Right. So, again, it's distributed statewide. So I don't know how much we will actually see of that, if any, or some portion of it back into Norfolk or the Hampton Roads region. That's TBD on that one. So it's certainly going to be, the state does need funding, out in Southwest Virginia and Central Virginia and the Northern Neck and everywhere needs state funding, but that funding will come from a casino that is in Portsmouth or Norfolk and then get distributed statewide. So I didn't know if that was already discussed. So my apologies. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see the hiring plan in full until Tommy mentioned it at the council meeting, which is, I was pleased to see that. So I've asked our attorneys to put that in writing so that will actually be in the contract. It hasn't been agreed to by the tribe yet. I asked for this in September of 2019, and I've yet to see something contractually in writing. So I'm hoping, I don't know if you have an update on that, if that's going to be actually put into writing, not on the tribe website, but so that there's some sort of, if it doesn't happen, what's the remedy, right? So do you have any update on that?
No, I've heard of no formal request to that nature. I mean, the tribe's that plan's been out. It's been out almost a month now, so that's not anything new that we've come up with overnight. So
right. I understand. I've been asking for it for over a year. So it's not in the original contract, which I asked for. And so I didn't see it. And we haven't discussed it at council until this past week. So I know the attorney's office is working on that. So just FYI, hopefully that certainly gets taken care of there. And I thought that Dr. Filer's presentation on Tuesday was good. I'm glad that he started to talk about some of the costs to the city, the $6 to $8 million in public safety costs, $2.5 to $8.5 million for pathological gaming costs. and the cost to potentially the downtown area. But the projections were certainly very impressive, based on the idea that people from Northern Virginia are going to come down here. So that was interesting. But what else did I miss on the presentation? Anything new? Anything just mail tonight?
Nope, nothing new. Just the same old, just sort of overview of the project.
Okay.
PM Buzz had a question because he had his hand up. Take your mic off. There you go.
Yep. So it says almost 2,500 jobs. Now that's pretty broad from like a pay perspective. Are those full-time 40-hour-a-week jobs at, say, $10 an hour, or part-time, or what type of jobs are they?
Yeah, so the 2,500 number, that's full-time equivalents. Two part-time jobs would equate to one full-time. Our numbers of the 2,500, probably 70-80% of those are full-time, 40 hours a week, fully benefited jobs. If you look at that hiring plan that's on our website, the pay bands range from not all over the map, but I think the low pay band are sort of like hourly valet is in the 40 to 60 range. Let me I can pull it up really quick. I think dealers, if I remember off the top of my head, are in the like 50 to 70 range. So there's let's see. Yeah, gaming operations, 60 to 75, hotel operations, 40 to 50, food and beverage, 40 to 60, security, 40 to 60, surveillance, 50 to 75. So it's a variety of ranges.
And then with that, I went to your site. It says goal to hire 90% from Norfolk and surrounding areas. How do you plan to actually make sure it's from the local area, not people coming in?
Yeah, I think we've already started talking with a lot of the local workforce entities and the higher education institutions about how we can partner with them, and get as many local hires as we can. I think our goal is to start with Norfolk, and then sort of move out in concentric circles. And so likely start with Norfolk and immediately surrounding localities. It's our hope that we can hire as many as we can locally. The hiring plan also talks about, the training opportunities that, we'd be offering, or the tribe would be offering to, ensure people are qualified for these positions. It also sort of talks about the timeline of when we'd be hiring people. There'll be probably a few initial sort of senior management hires either late this year, early next year. But really most of the big hiring won't happen until, construction is wrapping up, which is, the middle to the end of, 2022.
I think, Ross, too, there is a mention also of our intention to ensure that we have some sort of career center by which people can, and this is obviously going to change depending on the timeline with COVID, but there will be sort of a operation where people can submit resumes. We already have a website by which vendors can submit interest to the project. So we will be developing and releasing information as it comes out on the opportunities. But the hiring plan does a pretty good job of forecasting what could be available.
Hey, Ross, there's been I don't know where the genesis of this came from, but this idea of setting up something temporary prior to the full construction.
Yeah, I can shed a little bit more light on that. So the legislation allows for once you have your license from the Virginia Lottery, that you can set up a temporary facility. It was designed for Bristol. So the proposed Bristol site is a mall. And so they have a building already built. And so they want to clear out the old J.C. Penney and turn it into a casino while they build their new casino. So that, because the way the bill is set up, all of the localities have the same authorization. That's what that authorization was for. And so you need the local government's approval. Like, we can't just do that on our own. And as was mentioned a couple of times, there's been, to this point, there's been no conversation about that. That doesn't mean that there couldn't be a conversation about it. They're just, the intent of that language in the legislation is for Bristol Resort and Casino at the Bristol Mall.
All
I
right.
have a question.
Question.
This is Suzanne Greger. You were talking about local this and local that. What about the construction companies that will be building it? Will they be local construction companies, local things affiliated with that?
Yeah, so we are hopeful that before November 3rd, we're going to announce part of the construction and development team, to include a local general contractor who would manage the project. And obviously, the legislation actually has pretty robust requirements, not only on local hiring, but also diversity hires as part, and living wages as part of the construction of the facilities. And that's not just here, that's all of the casino facilities. And so, we'll be working with our contractor partner to, not only uphold what's in the legislation, but also uphold our hiring plan. And, if you go to, Allegro mentioned, it's pamunkeyfuture.com. There's a sort of robust site for vendors and talking about minority opportunities. And that talks about not just the operation of the casino facility, but also the construction phase.
All right, Elena Kay has the question because she has her hand up. So, Elena.
Yeah, going back to what Andrea said about the schools, is there a way to dedicate some of the money to the local schools instead of the statewide fund?
Yeah, so the General Assembly, the way the revenue works, there's a gaming tax that's levied on the state level. It's tiered. The lowest tier is 18%. It goes all the way up to 30 something.
Yeah. I think the next level is like 23, and then it goes.
Yeah, it's 23, and then I think it's 34. I think it's the highest level. And so the city portion of that is 6%, 7%, and 8%. And those tiers are based off of revenue. The first tier is under 200 million, second tier is 200 to 400, and the third tier is over 400. So the city does get a dedicated portion of that revenue, in addition to all of the other local taxes that we'd pay: property tax, real estate taxes, business license taxes, meals, hotels, all that sort of stuff. And so the legislation is set up so there's a portion of that state revenue. So at that first tier, it's 12% will go to the state, school construction fund. And that's for all of the gaming facilities. And then 6% will go to the host locality. So yes, the General Assembly could theoretically change that allocation, but today that's how those allocations are set up. One thing that Chip did talk about in his presentation on Tuesday night, and Andrea, correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers, but I think thanks to Councilwoman McClellan's lead on this, the city has a sort of funding formula for certain revenue streams that come into the city. And so based on that funding formula, Dr. Filer projects that $3.4 million of the $45 million that's coming to the city will automatically go to schools without City Council having to do a thing. Now, City Council can obviously dedicate or decide to put more towards schools, but without having to, do anything or vote on anything, the existing funding formula that's set up sends $3.4 million each year to schools.
So that's correct. So to answer your question, no, the state won't designate anything to the area. The funds that we'll get, which based on CHIP's all-in projections, would be somewhere between 25 and 40 million. And any new general funds, with a few exceptions, goes into the school funding formula. So that as we make more as a city in revenues, the schools get more, but it's not specific to the casino. And we talked early on about the idea of dedicating specifically funds to schools or to flooding, and there was not political will to have a specific designation, but rather to just put it into the general fund. So there's no guarantee of those monies going, with the exception of those funds through the school funding formula specifically. We still don't know what all the costs are going to be. As the report says, they'll have to work with city staff on that to understand for public safety, et cetera. So those are still TBD on to be determined on that. There are a couple of different things that still have to happen. If this passes on November 3rd, there still has to be a zoning designation. The way the state legislation works, there'll be a casino zone for that. That would be by right. There's question at this point as to the other elements that would happen in that facility. So the hotels, the restaurants, there's any sort of entertainment, things that would typically have to go through a conditional use permit if you were any other business in the city, whether or not that would just be allowed by right without that process. And I made the argument Tuesday night, I don't support that. I think that I appreciate the state legislation on the casino by right. I understand that, but it's those other elements that if you're a restaurant on Little Creek Boulevard or on Granby Street and you have to go through the CUP process, it seems to me that would be appropriate to ask for there as well. Just gives the city more control over that. That's to be determined. So I don't know what's going to happen there. And as you all know, I'm but one vote. The other thing that would have to happen is the actual developer will have to go through a full certification process with the lottery board. They haven't been certified yet. No, nobody has. This isn't specific to Norfolk. It's just the way the lottery board was set up. They have a pre-certification process before the referendum. So they'll have to provide financial details, et cetera. Presumably that won't be a problem because the developer, as we all have been told, is a billionaire. So I would assume that won't be an issue, but we've not been presented with any financial specifics or details. So that's still one thing that would have to happen, the closing, et cetera. So there are definitely some more hoops to go through, but.
And as far as the schools go, how much money, I guess, currently the schools do require for maintenance a year?
A lot more than we give them. I mean,
I guess what I'm trying to ask is that money that we're going to make for the schools, is that significant, or is that going to be for maintenance?
I think the schools, as I don't remember the number. It's somewhere the last figure in order to really provide the maintenance they need about $15 million a year. I think that was what was, but I don't remember. I'm sorry, Ross. I'm sorry. Did you have some more input from my comments?
Yeah, no, the only thing I was going to add to that, I mean, everything you said is accurate. The only thing I'd add about the state money is that it was designated towards school construction. And so the way the language is set up was intended for, localities with the most need. And Norfolk's got, two of the oldest schools in the state. And so you're right, it is not by any means designated or guaranteed that it is coming here. But if you lined up the need and, there's a couple of General Assembly committees that have already started looking at that. Bill Stanley had one a few years ago. Norfolk would be right at the top of that list. And so I think there's a pretty good bet that some of that school construction money would be coming back to Norfolk.
All right, Philip has a question because he had his hand up.
So, Andrea, you had mentioned some of the outgoing costs, and how are those compared to the estimated incoming? Are we going to still make money? Like, if it's 30 million estimated to come in, but you mentioned, I think, the upward bounds of 8.5 million and 8 million, and then you kind of stopped. So it sounds like those numbers may exceed the estimated in. Is that a true statement, or you just curious of what the estimate in and out would actually be?
Right. So that's what I've been asking for all along, is what's the net here, right? As a business, if you're a business person, you don't survive because of what your gross revenues are. You survive based on what your net revenues are. Based on what Chip presented this week, Dr. Filer, there's definitely net revenue to the city. But I'm, here's the thing. Listen, I think Dr. Fowler's very smart. We're lucky to have him as a city manager. Unfortunately, I can't help but think the report has got to be a little biased. He's the one who signed the contract, is managing the city, and he's the one who did it. We haven't had an independent economic analysis. We signed this contract about a year ago. We've had plenty of time to do it. Now, of course, we had to wait for the General Assembly because the taxation changed favorably to our favor. But I would feel better about the numbers if we had a little more information. So I can't really tell you about that. I'll tell you that where we were September of 2019, when we were considering a tribal casino with 4% of net gaming revenue and no local taxes, compared to where we are now, which we're looking at 6 to 8% plus all the local taxes, we're in a much better place than we were a year ago. So for that reason, I'm really glad that we didn't go that route. And I'm really glad that we took a pause button, right? And I'm really glad that this is on the ballot for people to decide. I wish we had a little more information for people to make their decisions with. And I wish it were perhaps a little more independent in nature. But based on the figures that we just received this week, net, there appears to be revenue for the city. I just don't know how much that is. And I will tell you that there are a lot of people who've already spent it 10 times over. So, because we need money. We need money for flooding. We need money for schools. We need money. I get all the things that the argument is. We need jobs. I understand all those things. I don't know if, I think there are a lot of ways that we can bring jobs in, but none of them is easy. And so y'all have to make that decision. And I'm not here to lobby one way or the other. I'm trying to be an honest broker on this deal. So hopefully I've presented a pretty, anyway, I haven't been on any of these calls. I haven't seen any of your presentations, Allegro.
Andrea, I've recorded the whole thing, so I'll gladly send it to you.
Oh, great. There you are, Gary. Is it in 360 though? That's what I want to know.
No, it's on Zoom, but I do have a way of doing that actually. Hey, my question to Andrea, Ross, and Allegro is structural. How green is it going to be? I.e. solar panels, i.e., rainwater mitigation, things like that.
I think when we announce the design team, you'll be impressed about the stuff they've done before.
Are they going to be putting solar panels? Because personally, I think any new construction in the city, especially business-wise, should be looking at solar. You look at these gas stations with huge awnings for over the pumps would be great solar farms,
I agree.
Andrea, any comment there?
Oh, listen, I mean, this is, where I stand on that, Gary. I mean, I think everything should be, highest standards. The energy envelope should, it's all important. Sustainable building practices, what it does and how it interacts with the Elizabeth River, flooding issues, all of those things. I will say that, I think that we've had a lot of discussions from the get-go about that, and I believe that's been part of the contract. So,
yeah, that was my question. Is it in the contract to make it more?
Yeah, it's still, still has to be implemented, but we'll see about that. It's on anyway.
Yeah, it's in our best interest to build an environmentally friendly building to keep our operating costs down. So.
Yep, Sherry has a question.
Kind of have two. In the presentation, you said that, I think it was Maury and Booker T was going to get money, and then when we were talking about how the money was going to be going to the state, so is it guaranteed money for those two schools?
Yeah, so all of the other monies we've been talking about are annual dollars. The money to Booker T and Maury is just one-time money. The tribe needs to purchase the land from the city. So we're buying the land above market, above assessed value. It's almost $11 million that we're paying for the land, and City Council has already designated that half of that goes to Maury and half of that goes to Booker T.
Okay. Then I had one more question about the presentation. There was a picture of a marina between Harbor Park and the casino.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in, that was just for show to make it look
I mean,
better, or?
Yeah, that picture is a rendering of what we believe, the project will look like. A decision on a marina has not been made. As Andrea mentioned, I think there's a lot of discussions about how this property and this project will interact with the river in a variety of ways. And I think, boat access would be one of those things that we need to figure out. Again, I think once we announce the design team and you see the stuff that they've done previously, you'll have a better sense of sort of the caliber of and style of this project.
Can I just follow up on that? So you said about $5.5 million goes to Booker T and to Maury, right?
Correct.
That's each. $5 million to Maury, $5 million to Booker T. Washington.
Gotcha. Andrea, I remember hearing, I'm not sure if it was you who said it, but how doesn't Maury need to be rebuilt?
Something needs to happen. It's
I mean, what is realistically, what are we gonna do with $5 million for Booker T and $5 million for Maury?
You got a new parking lot.
Okay.
Maybe some new HVAC. I mean, I'm not trying to be a pain. It's definitely it's needed and it's used, but if you're talking about a new building, you're probably talking anywhere from 70 million to 120 million for a high school. For an elementary school, it's 20 to 40 million.
Does that $5 million have to be spent right away? Is there a time frame for when it has to be spent by? Like, can we put it in a fund for
It's very loose. It's very. The city is, the way it works with the schools, the city is responsible for the school building. The schools are responsible for the maintenance, but the city appropriates all the money to the schools, and then that administration has to determine what to do with that. So it's a little bit of a.
But there's no time frame for when that money has to be spent?
I don't believe so, Ross. You might know otherwise, but I don't.
No, I don't believe you all put a timeline on when it gets spent. I mean, when we buy the land, the city cashes the check and they get to decide what they do with it. It's their money.
Right. And it was just, I mean, listen, why Maury and Booker T? It's what the mayor negotiated, and it's what was determined that I guess was most in need for those schools. Here's what I'll tell you though. The school board was never consulted as to, if you're given $10 million, how would you spend it? That was never a discussion that they had. It was determined this is what we're going to do. I don't think it's necessarily a bad decision. It just seems like it's a significant amount of money that the school system in general would be getting in some form or fashion. And that was determined by council, but not by the school board.
Any specific reason?
It was never even, I mean, it wound up on my desk before the dais before we voted on it. I never saw it in advance of the night that we discussed it. Everything just sort of showed up. There's never a point of discussion. So I don't know. I can only speculate.
Okay. John, didn't you have your hand raised? There you go.
I did, thank you. The 6.2 million visitors, that sounds like a pretty rosy projection, especially in light that Bristol, Danville, Richmond, Portsmouth, in addition to Norfolk, might all potentially have casino functions. And these are COVID days that might last for years. Is 6.2 million visitors really realistic?
Yeah, so I mean, the 6.2 admittedly does not have any sort of COVID impact to it. I think most people would believe or hope that by the time that we're open, 2 years from now, that the impact of COVID is behind us. And so that 6.2 number is bodies in the door. And so if you go for lunch and you go for dinner, that's 2 of the 6.2. And so our feasibility, we're very comfortable with the economists that we use and put our feasibility study together, and they're the ones that came up with that 6.2 million number.
Also considering that Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia do not have gaming, Hampton Roads is in a very good position considering the infrastructure and interstate to bring some of that interest over to Hampton Roads. Certainly Tennessee will, is very close to Bristol, and North Carolina for some of it is close to Danville, but we aim to make this state-of-the-art, world-class facility, and certainly the best in the Commonwealth.
So, Allegra, with all due respect, when the MGM was built outside of DC, they were probably saying the same thing about Virginia not having casinos. We don't know that North Carolina won't have a casino at some point, or Tennessee won't have casinos, but for right
and
now,
MGM's done very well, Andrea.
Yeah, it's one of the most profitable.
MGM's done very well.
Oh, I know. I think, and I'm sure that they're not really happy about Virginia getting casinos now, for that reason, because they're probably attracting folks. So, listen, this is up to the voters on November 3rd, to determine what's going to happen here. I have people ask me all the time, what do you think is going to happen? And I really don't have a sense one way or the other. I think Bristol, Danville, Portsmouth, I think they'll probably all vote in favor of this. I'm not sure about Norfolk. I'm split on that. It could go either way. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
If I can add, Norfolk has got some big advantages not mentioned very much. One is Amtrak being right there, and two, the tide is right there, and those are
100%.
Those are huge factors. But Richmond's got the advantage of I-95 to bring in people from Northern Virginia if you expect them to be gamblers. So I think they would go to Richmond before they came here. But again, the tide and Amtrak, I think, are huge arteries to bring people in.
Wonder if Virginia Beach will be regretting that light rail vote after this happens.
Gosh, Norfolk Southern practically handed it to them, and it still didn't happen. I still can't believe it.
And I would add the airport. I mean, we hope that this project certainly is a catalyst to additional markets for Norfolk International to tap in, and people would take the airport to come to this facility. That's our aim.
That's a good possibility.
Yeah, that's the one disadvantage of being down at the end at 264 instead of the intersection point of 264 and 64.
So,
Pat Smith here. I got two questions I'm going to throw at you. One, did the city of Norfolk give any financial incentive to this group organization to come in here? And also, what about the developer who remodeled Waterside? I see he's got his voice in it now.
So I can answer that. The way the city, this has been presented to the city, is that we would be paying no infrastructure costs, that the tribe and the developer will pay everything as it relates to the project on site. So that's certainly a positive compared to some projects that we've had to deal with. So now, will there be costs incurred outside of that along the Elizabeth River Trail? And possibly, and the manager referenced that on Tuesday, but he kept saying, but we're going to be making all this money, so we'll have all this money to deal with it. Again, it's just it's one of those things where, everybody has spent this money 10 times over. So it makes me a little bit uncomfortable there. And about Cordish, which is the waterside developer, they have been in touch with the Informed Norfolk, which is a group that I had been involved with last year. They, through a PR company, had been in touch with them and provided some resources. And some of I think there's 3 from within Waterside of the restaurants have provided some donations. And then there were a couple of restaurants on Granby Street that have provided donations as well. But I mean, let's just, in terms of the amount of money we're talking about, 3 $5,000 donations and a couple $100 donations. I mean, it's not like Cordish is bankrolling millions of dollars against this. This is really grassroots, not big dollar number stuff. So I get the whole palace intrigue that Cordish is behind this and they're really against it, but it's really sort of small potatoes dollars, helping a small grassroots ragtag group of folks. So, listen, Cordish does not want this to happen. Cordish wants to be the casino operator. Let's just call it for what it is. And, but I don't think that's really motivating the group that's trying to get more information out about this. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Andrea, two things. This is Gary. Pat's question, re-clarifying it. The city did not give the casino any tax breaks or anything like that. And second thing,
No, that is correct. That they did not provide any sort of tax breaks or incentives.
And second thing, Cordish, of course, was in the news about the fact that the city supposedly agreed that they should be the casino point and all this. What's the ramifications of that?
That's an ongoing legal battle, so it sounds really crappy for me to say I can't comment on it, but it's I think that their argument's probably not that strong, but they'll probably put a lot of resources behind it. I don't know what's going to happen there.
So it is going to court, is what you're saying?
Oh, I don't know if it's going to court. I just know that there's a lot of posturing. Legal posturing.
Making a lot of money.
What's that?
Lawyers are making a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's what they do. I guess that's how they get paid. So
yep.
That and lobbyists, right, Ross? Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
By the way, Ross and I have known each other since 2013 at least. And so while we're on opposite sides on this one and we don't always agree, he's a really good guy generally, except for when it comes to this. So, and Allegro
going under the bus.
No,
Yeah.
he
didn't
knows.
even see it coming.
I'm just being. He knows this is well. I mean, you guys know too. I'm just being sarcastic. So.
Yeah.
And Allegro's a really good guy, and I've known him for years with Bobby Scott. So we disagree on some of these things, but I think that they're good folks. And at the end of the day, I think everybody wants what's right for Norfolk. We just might have a different opinion on how we get there. And so, again, what I will tell you is I'm very happy that we paused the original deal, because without a doubt, if this does go through, it will be significantly better than what the city had proposed as being the best deal ever only a year ago. So, so I don't know what's going to happen here. I still have a lot of questions, and I recommend you guys doing as much of the research as you can outside of, and look at Chip's report. And I would honestly, I would watch the council meeting from Tuesday night at the very end, the last 20-25 minutes. It's worth a gander to see some of the questions and the discussion that happened.
Well, you'd miss Tripp's presentation if you only watched the last 20 minutes, Andrea.
I don't know how much it was. It was a very long meeting. That's what I said. Chip, whatever Chip's presentation started, I don't know how, was it 30 minutes, 40 minutes? I don't know when it.
No, he was like I think it was like the last hour.
Yeah, he was the last hour. I will put a link out on Nextdoor to that the various videos and website links that have been mentioned here tonight, and also on to Crossroads Civic League's Facebook page. So if anybody's looking for the stuff, it'll make it a little bit easier. I should have that up by tomorrow morning.
So I'm open to other questions that are actually not casino related. I do have a life beyond casino issues.
How's Lackland doing in New York?
He's fine. Thank you for asking. That's my middle son. He's a freshman at NYU and a senior at University of South Carolina. It's his birthday today, Aiden. Philip, you had a question.
I did, and it was casino. It's kind of the casino based, and he mentioned it with Bristol, so it spurred my mind of Military Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Was that ever a consideration to do something in that vicinity? Because military's got much more infrastructure to support it than does Park Avenue. Just something. I mean, I go to the Tides game occasionally, and it's one way in and one way out. The roads are not huge, so.
No, so what I'll tell you is this is what the tribe wanted. They wanted this facility, and so I think that they were shown the opportunity, perhaps, of Military Circle. At the time, we didn't have control over it, so it wasn't an option. Military Circle it's drier and it's right at the crossroads, so it's a good point. But what I think it's important to understand is that the vote that is occurring on November 3rd, that referendum is specifically for this developer and the tribe at this location. So if people say, well, we want a casino, but we want it military circle, so I'll vote yes, and maybe they'll decide to move it. That's not the option. The option is solely the Pamunkey tribe at this 13, 14 acre facility on the Elizabeth River.
And this is your only shot at a referendum. The state law does not allow another option, another referendum. This is
Correct.
your only shot at a referendum.
Based on the current based on the legislation that was passed. They could add additional legislation in the future.
But we'd be missing the boat pretty drastically.
It'd be hard for someone to come in with an established facility already up and running in Portsmouth, I think.
Right.
That's why I was surprised that Richmond decided to hold off on a year, because I don't know who said about them being on 95. Yeah, I mean, they'd have closer access to Northern Virginia, but if you have 3 established casinos in the state, it will just be a little bit harder to get up and running in Richmond. You could still do it. There's still a market there, and obviously the Northern Virginia market, but
so just a little
you could still do it. I did want to say something about the site. The tribe, their reservation is essentially an island. It's up in King William County, and it's on the Pamunkey River, and so they've got a long-standing relationship with water, and so that's why they wanted to be on the Elizabeth River, because of that relationship to water, and I think it sort of tells part of their historic story. They're going to be a different operator because they are a Virginia Indian tribe. They're not some international for-profit gaming corporation that's got to make quarterly shareholder profits. They're a local Indian tribe.
So Ross, they do have, I mean, that's a really good point. They do have a 1,200 acre reservation about 80 or 90 miles from here.
Mm-hmm.
And they originally considered putting the casino there, but the local...
they never considered the casino at the reservation.
Why is
reservation, that? Because there isn't the infrastructure to handle a major resort facility in rural King William County. They don't even have broadband on the, they have satellite internet on the internet, they have satellite internet on the reservation. They don't even have, wired broadband on the reservation.
With all due respect, if you're bringing in $450 million a year in casino revenues, I'm pretty sure you could find some wires in the infrastructure.
I think they'll be able to fix that, and not only for their benefit, but everyone in the surrounding area of King William that doesn't currently have internet. But no, there was never a consideration to build on the reservation. They have purchased land in New Kent.
Right. Maybe that's what I was thinking. So they were planning. They looked at New Kent, and then the surrounding community said, "We don't want you," and that's when they went shopping elsewhere.
No, that wasn't. They had an option to purchase on that land before Colonial Downs reopened. And so once Colonial Downs reopened, it changed the dynamics of that location.
All right, Sherry has a question because she has her hand up.
Actually, I have 2 now. So does the Pamunkey tribe have a casino someplace else already?
They do not. This would be the first casino that they would operate. They've brought in, I think someone asked this question earlier, they've partnered with 2 experienced, one a financial backer and then an experienced gaming operator to bring in the expertise required to operate a state-of-the-art facility.
So my second question is to Andrea. What's going on as far as games of skills, and places like Dragon Vapes, Lucky Vapes, Midway?
Yeah, the legal ones compared to the illegal ones, especially.
Yeah, so sure, I'll answer that. I put in the chat box an article about that New Kent, when New Kent considered a casino from the Pamunkey there, and sort of basically the folks said no thank you, and that's when we got a call from Chief Gray. At least that's how it was explained to me by the mayor. So I could be wrong, but that's the article. In terms of the gray machines, so they were essentially provided a 1-year reprieve in the General Assembly, and they were taxed at a much higher rate. And I'm not an expert on this. I'm not on the gaming commission or whatever it's called, the gaming committee. But that committee, according to Tommy and Mamie, has been talking more about gray machines than they have the casino, because it really is an issue. And I don't think anybody really particularly likes them. But there's a lot of revenue that's come in with them. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if they really are going to get banned after a year. Once the General Assembly sees how much money is coming in, if they're really going to ultimately ban them. But
so two senior members of the General Assembly, the chair of the Senate Finance Committee and the chair and the governor and the chair of the House Appropriations Committee have pretty much committed that this is a 1-year extension and that's it.
Well,
and they did jack the tax rate up to bring in a bunch of money, but I mean, Janet Howell has pretty much said, over my dead body will gray machines go beyond June 30, 2021.
Well, question on the taxing, example, legal, Dragon Vapes, which is him, he jumped through all the hoops, but yet you go across the street to what used the pawn shop, or you go down to Lucky Vapes, they're totally off grid. They're there, but they're not official. They haven't complied with it.
So I guess it's more, my question is like what the commercial recreational permit. So they're okay as long as they don't have more than 4 machines and they're paying taxes?
I believe that's the case. I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah, or they have an ABC license, if that's, there's some element, if they have an ABC license, they're going to be allowed, et cetera, but that was only for that 1-year time frame. Gary, if there are people that are not, are operating illegally and outside of the code that is currently written at the local and the state level, let me know. We'll take a look over there for sure.
Midway and Lucky Vapes, it's at the intersection of Military Highway, Little Creek Road.
So, hey, Gary, would you mind?
If I remember correctly,
no problem.
Yeah, send her an email. If I remember correctly, to Andrea's point, having attended a couple of the Gaming Commission meetings, this is a lot of their conversations where members have heard, oh, hey, so-and-so restaurant or so-and-so vape shop has them. Can you check them out? And so I kind of remember them talking about that vape shop at the last meeting. Who knows what, they get to appeal and it goes before ABC, but I'm speaking way out of my knowledge zone. I'm just saying, I think the Gaming Commission has dabbled on that a little bit.
Yeah, because I don't think it's fair for Dragon Vapes, who jumped through all the hoops. As the Civic League, he met all the things we complained about, but then you got 2 of them who have just totally set up shop and nobody's really doing anything about them in there. That's really not cool.
Well, and the state should be getting the tax revenue. That's the big piece of it.
Yep.
Do y'all have any other burning questions?
Sorry, can I ask one more about Military Circle? So
Yes,
I've seen stuff lately, and you're really pushing to become more of like office space in there, right? Is that the intent?
Right. I mean, I will tell you in general, malls around America are having to remake themselves, right? So they have to be multi-use, and that means office space, it means residential. Retail is going to be more experiential, food, etc. And quite honestly, MacArthur's going to have to go through the same process where, now with the movie theater, I mean, it's just, who knows what it's going to look like. So we have, I think it's an RFI or RFQ out to try and find master developers who can help us really examine what that is going to look like. But it's definitely, listen, it's a huge parcel of land from an infrastructure standpoint and a flooding standpoint. It's actually in a really good location. It's dry. It's uptown to our downtown. Lots of people have asked me, well, what about an arena there? I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure.
Andrea, on Military Circle, what about using it, especially until they do something else with it? When I say community services, I mean all the social services type place. Move them all into one building, because I know the city rents a lot of spaces, and that way you'd have all the various services as a one-stop in one building, go from point A to point B instead of all over the place.
So Gary, we are consolidating some of the CSB right now into one of the buildings over by which patrol is it? Over near Little Creek and Tidewater. And I'll tell you, in general, the city does rent office space around the city. And like most businesses, we are re-examining what our office needs are as a result of the pandemic and all the teleworking that has worked, right? Because all of us are working in these environments. We probably don't need as much office space as we currently have. And so we're going to be looking at consolidation throughout the entire city. About in terms of using military circle, there's a cost. Every time you move somebody, there's a cost. So, and did I mention we have no money? Which is, to teeing it up to Ross and Allegra, they're right there for you. But, it's nobody has money anywhere because.
Oh, you want a project built entirely by the private developer? I've got one of those for you.
Yep. But yeah.
I also don't want an albatross that's going to be there in 10 years either. So.
Yeah. I'm not talking about just CSB. I'm talking about all the different social services type thing. Put them all in.
We are looking at using our CARES Act money to buy a facility not that far from you guys off of Little Creek that would be used potentially for what is referred to as NEST, Norfolk Emergency Shelter Team, recognizing that NEST is probably going to have to operate differently this year because of the pandemic. And needing more space and needing more facilities, et cetera. So we are looking at, and that was announced this past week, at spending $3 million on I think it was I don't know what sort of facility, if it was a senior home or something like that. So.
You got one down there by the 7-Eleven on Haliburton?
Yes, I think. I don't have the address. So, anyway, but I mean, the challenge with the CARES Act money is that the money has to be spent on one-time expenses, and it has to be expended by the end of this calendar year, and it has to be related to CARES or to the pandemic. So, we've got lots of places where we could use money in the city, but it's not fungible. We can't move it from one pot to the other. It can't be used to make up past revenues, et cetera.
I understand that one.
And we are not in charge of the schools and when they reopen. I get asked that a lot. So.
All right, guys, we are actually 30 minutes over what we originally intended. I'm sure some people still want to try to catch dinner or whatever movies coming out. So it is Ross, Lat, or Andre, any closing statements?
Go vote.
Ross, you said something about poll workers?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for poll workers to help out at the polls. So, if you're excited and supportive of the project, there's a contact form on our website, or I can put my email in the chat. And also, if you have any other questions, we're happy to answer them.
Yeah. I have your contact information off of that thing earlier. I'll make sure I post that out on Nextdoor also and stuff. So everybody who is looking for that.
And I would just say, echoing Ross, please go vote. If you have an absentee ballot and you decided that you want to vote in person, make sure to bring your absentee ballot with you to the polling location. You can either spoil the ballot at the location and vote another ballot there, or you can turn in a completed absentee ballot at the satellite offices or at City Hall. Those offices open starting next week, I believe.
Monday morning at 9 a.m.
Yep. And
Monday morning, 9 a.m.
And they, and closest ones to you guys, I think, would be Pretlow.
Pretlow Library, main floor, back new wing section.
So,
Even on
anybody
Columbus
have any
Day
questions about voting? Have y'all had any questions or issues that I could address?
Yeah, tell the news people to quit putting so much information out there. Everything's clear as mud.
Welcome to democracy.
If you are tracking your ballots like I am, and it's not showing up since the 25th of September, I called the election board. They got 300 mail ballots, which is those really kind of long, funny looking boxes. 300 of them that they never got a chance to scan through the post office system, but they do have them, and they said they were going to start scanning all of it Friday, tomorrow.
Yep, that's a good
The
point.
satellite offices will be open on Monday, even though it's a holiday.
Yeah, Yes.
Yeah, Phil.
According to the registrar's website.
Okay.
It's in our newsletter, Philip.
I know. I just know it's a federal holiday, and so I'm just making sure.
Oh, speaking of, I've been asking this since last year, and I asked it again in the spring and over the summer, and a day late. I can't promise you because I don't set the agenda. City Council should be voting on renaming and considering Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day. And even though because it's not a city holiday per se, there's some element of how we handle that, I guess. But, listen, in light of the fact that we are recognizing the relationship with the Pamunkey Tribe, the existing relationship we have with the Nansemond Tribe, I think it's long overdue and very appropriate. Many cities have done this. Richmond's done it already, others in the Commonwealth. So I hope that my colleagues will be voting on that. I'm afraid it's a day late, which is sad, but it's still something that we're going to push forward. So.
Also remember, November 3rd is now a holiday by the state.
And I think it's our intention to provide time for all of our employees to go vote if you're a city employee as well.
It's a state holiday, so the city should be closed, Andrea.
That doesn't necessarily correlate.
True. And if you do Lime Scooter's offering free rides to and from the polls.
HRT is going to have free fares all of Election Day. And I believe we have the cab company. Oh my gosh, Judy Swinson's going to kill me. What's the name? Norfolk Cab?
Norfolk Black and White?
Black and White, thank you. They'll be offering, I think they typically offer free rides, but I don't have that for sure.
So will Uber and Lyft.
Hey guys, it's 8:29. I got to get on a Zoom at 8:30. It was really great to see everybody. I'm sorry if I hijacked your meeting, but I appreciate the invitation from you guys to come and participate. And everybody get out and vote and stay safe. Please wear your masks. Norfolk's doing pretty well. Let's keep up the good work. So y'all take care.
Thank you, Andrea.
Bye-bye.
No, you didn't hijack us.
And real quick, Saturday, Bike Norfolk is having a trail cleanup day at Northside Park from 9 to 11. If anybody wants to volunteer.
And if anybody wants a copy of this, shoot Crossroads Civic League at Gmail an email, and it can get over to me, or you can text me. My cell phone 757-342-0986. If you call it, I don't recognize the number. Leave me a voicemail with an email or whatever, and I can send you a link so you can download it.
Thank you.
Ron, I'll send it to you automatically because I know I got your contact information, and same with you, Leonard.
Thank you, Ross and Legro.
Thank you.
Thank you all for having us. Appreciate all your questions.
So,
all right,
I guess it's a wrap. See everybody.
All right. See you later. Bye.
Happy Halloween to everybody, and look at the city's information on Halloween. They're doing trunk or treat, by the way, virtually this year. Via cars, and you have to register.
Hey, Yelena, we'd reached out about doing an ad in your newsletter. I don't know if you got that email.
Yeah, I just saw that in the chat. We did. So we advertise for, I guess, existing businesses. And since the casino is not yet an existing business, we try to support the businesses versus, picking one side or the other. So as soon as the vote is made, and if it's a yes, we will be more than happy to advertise.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, good night, guys. I'm the last guy to log off because it records out until I log off.